Hello everyone, my name is Kiana Rivera and I did my OD intervention over cultural change and it is through the organizational level. So there are many different definitions for cultural change. The one I use emphasizes the influence of cultural capital on individual and community behavior. So, some key factors that contribute to cultural change are going to be, like the environment, education, technology, war, culture itself, of course, and so many others. Some key features that that we all strive for is going to be our goals, our values, our roles, our strategies, our structure, systems, people, and again culture, of course. So I liked this one quote that Smith used. He says that cultural change implies that the existing collectivity of the values in the mindset changes into a collectivity of new core values that fit the environment's requirements, making the organization able to adapt and survive. Right, so some cultural change strengths. So of course, a culture that supports your strategic objectives, increase value of people within your organization as workers become more knowledgeable, they acquire new skills and develop greater leadership capacity, increase productivity of your organization through improved motivation and greater satisfaction in the workplace. We have greater flexibility within the organization, as people adapt to change and strive for improvement. Then, of course, we're going to have improved, attraction and retention of talented people, improved customer service and retention, and overall, this will hopefully decrease costs and wasted resources. So, as far as a cultural change strength scenario, so of course, there are definitely many scenarios. But for example, we have technology and COVID. So, technology is something that is continuously innovating, and we must change with it. Technology can range from your phone, laptop, iPad, TV, media, social media, and much more. Nowadays, I can send a text within a matter of seconds. I can call someone right away, can FaceTime and see someone instantly. Technology has brought us closer than ever with such mass communications and advancements. COVID, along with the same lines, has also impacted our society. Within this pandemic, we can see how we weren't equipped with all the resources that, we probably should have had prior. Therefore, we must change with everything being thrown our way. This pandemic has caused a shift within the workforce. Before the pandemic, there were relatively little jobs that offered remote, jobs and positions. Nowadays, more companies are providing remote jobs and positions because of the changes that we have had to endure. Alright, moving on to the next slide, we are going to have our cultural change weakness. So there are definitely many weaknesses in that aspect. Not everything can be positive. Um, so some of the things in this list are going to include failure, of course. Not everyone and not every organization is always going to thrive. We have employee resistance, we have just an inconvenience overall. We have limited resources. It can be time consuming. These things can take up to weeks, months, years. And, you never have an exact time frame on things because, the culture is always changing. So, a quote that I liked that Burke had mentioned was that deep change of organization culture is difficult. Change is most needed when organizations are at their peak. Yet it is difficult to convince organizational leaders of this need. And finally, our knowledge and skill at making such change is limited. And so, a cultural change weakness scenario is going to be the same scenario I used previous as a strength, so technology and COVID. With technology, we see how it's been around, our whole lifetime. As we mentioned earlier, technology can range from various things. We can see how technology is not always to our benefit. We as a society are constantly on our phones, constantly, messaging, talking to people. We're constantly on social media. But this can also have a negative effect on, just a person, on their mental health, and above everything else that goes along with it. And we see how obviously COVID had a negative impact and a shift within this change that the pandemic has been going on. We see how this has affected many things, many organizations. Um, we see perfect example currently, with a lot of establishments being understaffed, workers having to pick up more of the work, having to do um, more inventory, having to produce more hours, just because with everything going on, this shift, this change that has happened because of the pandemic has really hit in a lot of negative aspects. And because of that, society is having to change along with everything that is going on. And then I'm going to have this peer review article, which I thought was really interesting, over insight in cultural change during organizational transformation. This was a case study. And the purpose of this case study is to gain insight into how a cultural change process develops as a result of organizational transformation. I really liked the findings in this one. It states the paper supports a theoretical assumption that culture changes as a reaction to transformation. However, in this case study, culture is also proven to be proactive in that it emerged a year before the actual transformation was carried out. It is believed that the announcement of the new transformation caused a shift in the organizational mindset, enabling its members to deal with a situation of high uncertainty and stress. So, this is definitely something that I thought was very interesting because, the mindset changed when everyone realized that there was going to be a shift in change. So, that's something that was definitely very interesting, that was presented throughout the study. And these are my references.